Yeah. So as I mentioned, like yesterday, like we mostly covered analysis. After, sorry, I mean to say, once requirement drafting completed, we'll start the analysis. And once analysis means we need to identify the understand the requirements and identify the risks which are involved and how to mitigate the risks. And is there any dependency to which other applications or other teams? How to resolve that dependency? And what is the plan to complete or achieve this project goals, like that all things we'll do in the analysis. And that is mainly talks about feasibility study, like technical feasibility, operational feasibility, economical feasibility. So these are the different feasibility study we need to do to make sure that our application is feasible to implement and achieve and to complete all the requirements. And after that we covered like definitely design will help you to understand how it's like in the future. Okay, so basically like how our project will look coming in after development, like how it is interacting to the customers and how it is like having the UX screens. So that all will be covered as part of design. But design will give you a kind of confidence to that, a kind of interaction to the customers, so that we'll get a kind of what do you call some portion of the work we can achievable through the design part. Once design completed, as you know, we'll start implementing the code that is called actual developing uh, bit by bit, and we'll keep on connecting with the customers to take the feedback with different options and development. So if it is waterfall, once development completed, testing will start. If it is agile process, the currently what we are following, testing also will done parallel along with the development. Example, if you consider e-commerce, okay, first we'll start with definitely registration and login and view this these are the different functionalities, right? When once login completed, immediately we'll do the start the testing also in Azure. But in a waterfall, once everything completed, then only is the only. But recent days, most of the people are we are also following. And mentioned while developing also will perform the unit testing. Once that is done, the testing team will take over the project and they will do end-to-end testing, like detailed functional testing, non-functional testing, and different integration testing and system level testing. So different levels of testing they perform to identify the any issues or any bugs which are available in the application, because we need to provide the application bug free or quality to the customer. So that's why we have to keep on to the testing of the application. Okay, and after that, like as I mentioned, everything is done, certificate, I mean the testing certification done, and all the issues rectified, and now it is very good in the shape of the stability. We got the stability application to deploy into the server. Now the last phase is deployment or hosting. So that is how that came into the AWS or Azure DevOps. These are the different servers which are available in the market to deploy the applications. Okay, so finally after deployment, we'll demo to the customers like how it will use and how we will access the application. Once that is done, customers will start using the application. But as I mentioned yesterday, whenever customers start using the application, they may face some problem, they may have some doubts. Like example, even we also face the same, right? Let's take consider we purchased a phone or a laptop. Let's take we got stuck some issue. What we will do, we'll call to the customer care and we'll ask the problem solution, right? If they have the technical reason, immediately they will respond. But otherwise what they will do, they will escalate the ticket to technical team. They can connect with you and they can resolve the issue. Same, that is what technically called as maintenance. Maintenance means on usage of the application by the customers. If they are facing any issues or any problems, we have to resolve them. And similarly, if customer ask any enhancement or any new features to be deployed or implemented as part of our application, that also we need to consider and we have to develop it. So that is how maintenance will work for the entire project level. Okay, so these are the different phases yesterday explained. And here, as part of internship, as I mentioned, we will cover the first three parts, like title evaluation and analysis part, and then designing part. These three will complete, and the remaining other three phases will be completed as part of your major project generally. Okay, and yeah, coming to sorry, to this point, if anybody have any doubt, please ping in the chat or you can speak up also. Otherwise, I will continue to the The next point, as I mentioned, today we'll cover the domains explanation, like what are the different domains we are giving, and each domain, what it will cover, and what is the things you require to learn as part of the domain upgradation, or if you want to choose the career in the respective domain. Okay. So that I will cover first, and then after I will cover the project architecture. That is, we called three-tier architecture or MVC architecture, or we called MVT, whatever the terminology, but we called client-server architecture. Okay, so that I will cover. These two things I'm planning to cover today. But before that, anybody have any doubt or any questions to me? You can feel free to in chat, or you can ping me also. Okay, I didn't hear any points, so we're good to go. So I'm sharing my screen. So if you're able to see, just confirm anyone. So can anyone confirm you're able to see my screen? Okay, perfect. Okay. So as I mentioned, why I'm telling the first domain knowledge means because maybe next week, next week we'll share the form for what you can say that domain selection and title selection. So that's why I'm giving a kind of brief about it, so you can have better knowledge to choose it. Okay. So anyway, as we know, all domains what we provided, the fundamental language anyway we are providing Java and say Python. But before going to domains, also will give you technical usage also. Okay, so we are offering here two programming languages as part of internship. So we'll teach you core Java and core Python. So as part of this programming, both are see only programming syntax is different, but both are object-oriented languages. Both are programming. I mean to say codes all the concepts like operators, conditional statements, looping statements, arrays, strings, and functions, OOPS concepts like class and object, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, and what do you call inheritance, abstraction. Okay, and after that, exception handling, file handling, DB handling. Okay, so these are all the whatever the features that as just now I mentioned, these are all both are available in Java and Python. Okay, so both technically both are same. If you talks about, let's take if condition in both Java and Python, it is used to check the conditions only, but only the different syntax, how we will write in the Python, how we will write in the Java, it is quite different. That's the only matter. Okay, so that's why if you choose any language, no matters, but you need to focus programming core knowledge instead of just by hearing the programs. Okay, that's the first session. And coming to the Java, how it will be better means Java is core language. It will give you the strong programming understanding. Okay, but when you come into the when you have to choose the Java means if you want to become a basically developer. Okay, so it may be full stack developer or back end developer. So for that role only Java will be applicable. No other areas Java can be used nowadays. Okay, so Java is only using nowadays for only developer aspects. Okay, and some places testing also. Okay, testing developer or tester. These are the two roles which are available on under Java currently in the IT market. Okay, but other than that two roles, we don't have any other roles in the Java aspects. Okay, so that means if you want to become a full stack developer or web developer or like software developer or tester, software tester, you can go for Java. Okay, but when you go for, I mean, what you am telling me is Java has a limited scope in currently in the market. So it's very like programming was good, but scope wise gradually decreasing in the current market because of Python. So Python gradually increasing. So Python also can do the developing work. So that's the and the tester work. Okay, these two also can done through Python. So Python full stack development, we can say that. Similarly, testing with Python also possible to do. So that means what Java can do, Python also can do. That's the first advantage. But what Java cannot do, that also can able to do in the Python. That is first, ML, machine learning can, if you want to work in machine learning, Python is the source. There's no Java aspects. AI, okay, and data analytics or data analysis and data science, IoT, and NLP, and what else? IoT, NLP, commonly, yeah, yeah, mostly these are the commonly which are domain. I mean to say technical aspects which can Python supports. I can say that. Okay, so if you see clearly, along with the development testing work, these are all the different current trending areas can supported by the Python. That's why Python has little advantage compared to Java in this perspective. So if you learn the Python, you are eligible for learning any of this particular course path forward, like upgrade your skill in the respective domain in future. Okay, but in Java, that is the two areas you can only work on, that either testing or developing. But Python can have this many enhancements. And also one more advantage of Python compared to Java, it is easy to understand, easy to learn. So it doesn't have much syntactical rules. Compared to Java, you can easily learn the Python. Okay, so that's the difference between Java and Python. But programming wise, both are same. Concepts wise, both are having the same concepts. The way of writing is a little bit easy in the Python comparatively Java. Okay, and coming to the now, I'm talks about this is the technology difference. Okay, so any doubts with respect to Java and Python? Any doubts as of now? Like if you have any questions to on the respective path, I will explain. Otherwise, I will go to the domains. Okay, perfect then. So as I mentioned already, so we have different domains we are providing. Out of that, the first one is development. I can say that. Okay. So first domain will be development. That is what we called web development or full stack development. Okay. So this is the first domain we are providing as part of this particular internship. So if anybody wants to become a developer in your IT career, like you want to settle as a IT developer, software developer, this domain would be the best domain, because in this domain you will learn that complete architecture of the application and complete data flow from front end to back end as part of this particular full stack development or web development. So basically in this development only we will generally divide into three parts. Okay, so as I mentioned, web application development consists three parts totally. Front end means UI, okay, front, and the middle end we call front end, and middle end means core logic. Okay, middle, that is we call core logic, and the last one storage, that is database. So likewise, the basically three areas we have in the development perspective. Okay, so if you are learning or if you are focused on front end only, interface side, as yesterday I told you, right, we have two roles mostly. One is UI or UX designer, only designing. If you do, we call designer. Similarly, if you want to become UI developer, okay, or we call front end developer. So this is the one area developing side, and second one as usual middle end, or we call technically software developer or Java developer or Python developer. I can say that simply software developer. This is the middle end, only middle end if you do. Okay, and if you only work with the database, then we called database associate. Okay, this is the role you have in the market with respect to data. But if you do all three together, we called the respective person only called as full stack developer. Full stack developer means who can ability to perform all three areas, like he can work on front end, back end, and middle end. So that person we call generally full stack developer. And nowadays if you see, full stack developer has very good demand in the market as a fresher mainly talks about, because we are looking towards the mainly development aspects with respect to all areas. Okay, So that's why recent days every company in fresher they are looking towards the full stack developer, means who can handle all three areas with, and also definitely core language, strong knowledge on core language. Like example, it may be Java or Python. You should have the strong knowledge. Without core language, if you have any knowledge on domain, it doesn't help anything to in the interviews. So first checkpoint will be the strong experience or expertise in the core language, then strong experience in the domain knowledge. That is the how filtration of the candidates will do in the real time. Okay, and obviously there is another quality we required, communication skills. These are three aspects now we are looking for freshers. One is strong knowledge on core language, it may be Java or Python, and strong knowledge on domain. That means whatever the project or the domain you are working, you require to have experience in that. And third thing, as I mentioned already, what we call, sorry, communication skills. Okay, and now anyway, so coming to the first one, we are covering this the domain. Okay, if you choose the web application development or full stack developer, or what do you call, full stack development with respect to Java, Python, anything, you will cover these areas as part of this particular domain knowledge. Okay, and the second domain we are giving here, machine learning. Okay, so as I mentioned, basically machine learning and artificial intelligence, there is no big difference. Okay, because machine learning is also part of the artificial intelligence only. But why I'm not calling as AI means, because AI is a little bit higher domain, I can say that. So that's why as of today we are giving machine learning that. But if you want to become a data engineer or ML engineer or AI engineer, this is the core platform to upgrade yourself in the first path. I can say that once you complete the machine learning, then only you will upgrade to AI part. Okay, so then once AI Gen AI, that part will come into the picture. But first you need to understand and complete the machine learning part. That's why for you as a fresher, it is very important to understand the machine learning libraries comparatively directly going to the AI. So that might be theoretically might helpful, but practically doesn't help you to get anything in the AI side. So that's why we choose the machine learning domain. So as part of machine learning domain, you will understand like how the model is working, how the model is creating. Like basically in machine learning we have 5 steps. First one, data collection, how we will collect the data, how we will prepare the data for model, and how to clean the data. That's what we call pre-processing. Like maybe raw data might be having something something which we is not required really for our modeling, so which we need to avoid the data from our data set. That is what we call data cleaning. For that only we mostly used pandas and MP. Okay, and after that model creation, what we call model preparation, and where we can test and train the data sets. Okay, that is what the Scikit learning library will help you. Okay, and finally data visualization. Whatever the results we are getting, we may showcase in the presence of tables and charts. For that we will generally matplotlib. So likewise, for every aspect, for every work in the machine learning, there is a library on Python. That means if you work with machine learning library, you require only one language called Python. If you have the strong knowledge in Python, yes, you are eligible for machine learning libraries working, because ML is purely set of libraries. It's not like a separate language. So these are all Python libraries. We need to understand what is that library, how we can use that library, and obviously how to build the our project. That is the things part of machine learning generally will include. Okay, and even in this only another domain will be there, natural language processing, NLP. It's mainly talks about data prediction. I mean the predictions or classifications, I can say that. Example, there is a whole reviews are there, like whether the review is positive or negative you want to predict, or whether the opinion, whether the opinion positive or negative. So such kind of classification techniques mostly worked on NLP based techniques, so natural language processing. That means whatever the English comments we have, we want to process to get the some qualitative or quantitative data. Okay, so for that we will use the NLP. But both machine learning and NLP will work alike similarly, and these two are foundationals for your artificial intelligence. So if anybody interested towards the AI side, maybe you can choose either NLP or machine learning. Okay, and after that the next one will be the next domain will be data analytics. Okay, so data analytics mainly talks about the data analysis or data visualization. Two things: data analysis, data visualization. So let's take example. There is a data set. Okay, so just before machine learning and modalism, machine learning is mainly talks about predictions and classifications, and data analytics only talks about data visualization. Means whatever the data we have, with that data, how many ways we can present the reports, or how many ways we can create the reports. So let's take example. There is sales data. From the sales data, I want to prepare different sort of reports or dashboards, I can say that. That is what we will focused on the data analytics. So data analytics also nowadays good in the market. So but comparatively machine learning, here less code will be there. Data analytics talks about mostly presentation, not on the modeling. So that's why comparatively these two domains, this will be less code part, less code will be involved. And for this also we'll use Python with Matplotlib and Seaborn. These are the two libraries which we are using for data analytics basically. Okay. And after data analytics, I given the another domain, mobile application development. Okay, so mobile application development mostly talks about Android application development. So this is straightforward. Like if anybody interested about the mobile application development, you may opt for it, so that you can understand some foundations of the how the mobile application will be developed and how we are getting the APK and how the interaction will be. You can understand that. Okay, and after that I told you like information security and cloud data. So we may if you see that recent days majority of people are storing our data into the clouds, like it may be AWS or it may be Azure. Okay, it may be Drive HQ, OneDrive. So many cloud storages are there nowadays. We people are also using repeatedly, right? Because to store our personal data, our day by day data into the cloud to make it available into everywhere. That's the basic idea. If you have the internet, we can access the data anywhere in the mobile or anywhere in the laptop also, right? So for that only, we are also people, common people also, we are using cloud storage to store the data. But we make sure that the data is secured. We should make sure that our data should not be leaked to somebody without have proper access, or we should make sure our data should not access by somebody to misuse the data. So for that we should prepare some kind of algorithms on top of the cloud storage. So that is what mainly talks about the information security, like algorithm like AES algorithm, RSA algorithms. There is a different encryption decryption techniques, and there is a different algorithms to propagate our data in proper way to store in the cloud storage. That all will be storing the information. And information security is only, I mean, that we are providing domain this for only for Java, and even Python also can choose. But anyway, so Java and Python also it will be okay. But now we are giving mostly on Python, but Java, but Python people also can opt it. Mobile application purely only for Java. Who opted for Java? For them only, because Python we are not having that module. There is a Python also supports mobile application, but now in market very few people are using Java, only mostly using for mobile application. That's why. And data analytics foundational language required is Python. Sorry, Python. And machine learning and NLP Python. NLP pure Python. There is no Java available for this. Full stack developer or web developer or web application development. Okay, for this both Python and Java is available. Okay. Yeah, so I think these are the different domains which we are providing currently for your academic. Okay, so we will share the form to you people next week to choose the which domain. Along with also will give you the titles in each domain. Maybe you can choose the domain also. Okay, and also will mention the clearly these all the points in the chart also. So mostly A, B, and A1, B1, right? So A section, B section can take a unique title, but A1, B1 can take the same title from the list. But that I will clarify in the later classes. As of now, we'll talk about the domain clarification only. Okay. So these are the anyway different domains which we are giving as part of the your what you can say that internship. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, for all these domains, whatever the domain, if you choose here to implement that or to achieve this domain, we require a project first of all. So that project will be divided into three parts: front end, middle, and back end. Okay, so out of that, the front end part we are covering as part of internship, as I covered the last time also, and the back end and the middle end will be covered as part of major project, not part of the internship. So that's why we are not giving any coding aspects now. We are only covering covering one is programming language, which is required for all these domains like Java or Python, and second domain knowledge. So on this each domain, we'll give a brief classes of how it will be working and how it will be used in the project level, that will cover, and also front end training. So for how we will develop the UI design for your application. That's what our internship I told you, right? First three steps: title, analysis, design. The design part also will be covered as of this particular internship, so that you can start development directly in the major project. Okay, so that is how we are planning. Yeah, so I will take 1 to 2 minutes break for you. So please ask me if you have any doubts with respect to domains or technology as of now. I will take 2 minutes pause. Please use this time for analyzing yourself, and based on this only you can decide what domain you want to choose. Any doubts, please ping in the chat, or you can speak up also. So can anyone confirm? No doubts? Can we go then? Is it audible? Everybody. Can anyone confirm that? Can I continue? Okay. Yeah. So now let's consider, like as I mentioned, right? So whenever you are going to be developing any project, okay, so generally we will use a MVC architecture generally, okay. So MVC, or we call three-tier architecture, or it depends on as I mentioned, right? Let's take example. This is only we call three-tier architecture, okay, or this is only we called MVC, model view controller, or model view template. So whatever the architecture it might be, but the idea internal is client server architecture. How we are using it always depends on uh, the project or the environment. Okay, so here I'm briefly explaining that part. Okay, so here every application nowadays, in initially it may be two tier or one tier, mostly some people are using, but now in the 99%, not even maybe we can consider 100 also, because most 90, that's what 100% of companies are using three-tier architecture. That means we are now building any mobile application or any web application or any AI application. It may be chat GPT, or it may be Copilot, Gemini, whatever it is. So all these applications are building in three parts. Okay, so in this we are dividing into total three parts. The first part and second part will be, and third part. Okay, likewise we have totally three parts for every application. Okay, so coming to the first part, if you speak about, this is only we called user interface, or we called front end. Okay, so we called it is front end. And coming to the second part, we called middle end, or we call this is only services. We called API services. Okay, and last one obviously we call database. Okay, so now I will briefly explain each part what it includes. We'll cover one by one. Okay, first we'll talk about the database. Okay, so database mainly used for storing the data, as you know. So whatever we are giving data to any application, it might be registration, or it may be post our images or videos, whatever the data. So all data we are giving to application, that has to store some way, so that the same data can revert back or can able to view by the customers. Okay, so for that we need some space, we need some storage to store it permanently. That storage only we call database. Initial days, as we know, we may use files also like Excel, Word document, that also, but now to make it more fast and easy access, we are using database. Okay, and this database we have two types basically. Okay, here in the currently market, one is relational, and the second one is non-relational. Okay, uh, the another word we can say that. Okay, so for relational, the another word is structured data. Okay, and coming to the non-relational, we can use the word called unstructured data. Means, sir, what do you mean by structured or unstructured? Structured means the data is aligned in proper way. There should be a proper format to store and retrieve the data. Example is your tables. Like whatever the data we are storing in the regular tabular format, that is we call structured data. So, and coming to the unstructured means the data is not in really proper format, it's random typing. So that will be unstructured. Example, your Facebook post. See, in Facebook post, you may give the location, you may give the contact, you can tag to the other people, you can give the video, audio, and image. See, there is a different types of data we can post on the Facebook, right? So that is what we call unstructured. There is no structure for the data. But when you go for registration, so we will give a proper set of your personal data like username, password, and mobile number, email. That is what we call structured data. So structured data will be stored in the tables, and unstructured data will stored in the files generally. So this is tables, and this is basically will store in unstructured, will store in the files, that is video, audio, these all files only. Okay, and these relational database examples only we have Oracle. Okay, and MySQL and DB2, Postgres, so SQL Server. Yeah, these are the very popular databases which are available in the market. Okay, but all these databases will communicate with a common language called SQL. Okay, there is a language called SQL. So by using that, we are using to communicate with all relational. And coming to the non-relational, very popular one, MongoDB. Okay, then Cassandra and GraphQL. So these are different database which supports for non-relational data, means file storage. But as I mentioned already, so if you want to communicate of this particular any of the database, either any relational database, I can say that any relational database. Okay, here whatever that we have, so all these databases will communicate a language called SQL. So that means if you want to work with any database in the current market, you should learn a language called SQL. And if you want to communicate with any non-relational database, there is a language called NoSQL. So these are the two languages which will help you to communicate any database in the current market. If you learn these two languages, you can work with any of the database in the current market. So this is the first part, backend part. So that means if you want to specialize in backend, you should learn the two languages. One is SQL, another one is NoSQL. I hope you understand till this point. So any doubts with respect to database? Any doubts with respect to database? So totally we have two types of databases. First of all, what do you mean by database? A database is a place of memories or storage where we can store our data persistently so that the same data we can reuse in the many places and we can display to the customers. So that databases we have two types. One is relational or structured, and the second one non-relational unstructured. So relational examples, that is what you are commonly learning like Oracle, MySQL, DB2, these are. And non-relational examples only MongoDB, most popular one. So for this, we need to understand and learn the two languages, SQL and NoSQL. So till this point, any doubts? You can chart it, you can ping in the chart. Okay, perfect. Then the second part will be I can go with front end. Okay, so front end means it's purely talks about designing part of the web page or mobile page. So definitely we can say that it is not really I mean that the logic was impacted, but see, you know, right, internally how much good your application, but externally if it is not really good at the interface level or experience level, many of the customer may not feel comfort to use the application. So that's why it is very important. The designing of the application should be very eye catchy or customer catchy. That means user should easily use that application. So for that only we should more focus on usability, accessibility, user experience, and these all metrics are very important. So to develop such kind of application, front end application, we are using front end stack. I can say that. Okay, so we have completely front end technologies to develop such kind of front end application. So that is only first to start with HTML, obviously. So HTML will help you to develop the static web pages, like very simple black and white, and core components will be designed in the HTML. To do the style that web page means to give the colors, animations, effects, font size, alignments, these all we can achieve in the CSS. But CSS is a traditional language which need to be write more code in the particular code. So to avoid that, we will use a framework like Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is the framework on the CSS. And likewise, so many frameworks also there, Tailwind and what you can say that FCSS. So some kind of frameworks are there. And similarly, to perform any kind of front-end validations or front-end interactions or front-end logic implementation, we may use a language called JavaScript. So it is also one of the popular scripting language which will help you to develop a scripting which will execute in your browser or front end itself. There is no requirement of server. So if you run the Java, or if you want to run the Python, we need a server like Apache Tomcat or WebSphere or AWS, such kind of servers required. But to run the JavaScript, we don't require any server. But still, we can achieve almost everything as like Java or Python. But only difference, JavaScript or front end cannot directly interact with the database. So basically, this connection is there, right? Sorry. Yeah, so whatever this front end to back end, this part cannot be achieved through what I can say that database. So this part never achievable. So front end directly cannot communicate with the database. So whenever you want to store some data, whenever you want to display some data, you should send a request to the middle end, always to the service. I can say that the service will communicate with the database and it will fetch some data from database and it will given to the front end. This is the way communication always will takes place in the market, because to make sure that security should place. If you given the directly front end to database, anyone can access the database. They can maybe alter the data and they can change the data. Like example for that, if you go for Facebook, you can see all the other people data also if you have the access directly. So that's why always there should be a middle end which is a secured component, means which will validate your authentication, authorization, means whether you are a valid user or not, whether you have access to get the data or not, that all will check, then only it will provide the data. So likewise, the middle end will work always. Okay. So now coming to again, coming to the part. So JavaScript is a language. Now, as I mentioned, right? So if you want to like write this JavaScript, again, it's a traditional language. On top of it also, we have frameworks like React.js and AngularJS and Backbone.js. So these are different jQuery. Okay, these are all different libraries which will help, work based on the JavaScript. Okay, but if you want to become a only front-end developer, this stack is enough for you to understand. If you learn this stack very thoroughly, you will become a front-end developer. You don't require to learn the database. You don't require the middle end. Only this part will help you to become a front-end developer. Okay, but comparatively full stack developer, front-end roles will be there, but salary wise little less comparatively full stack. And along with UI, if you want to add some more skills without touch the middle end and database, there is another component called, as I yesterday told you, UX also, means graphic designing like Photoshop, Figma, SketchUp. These tools you can learn and you can become a UX UI developer. Okay, but this is all talks about the front end part. Okay, so this is only like if you will work in the front end side, like designing part only. Okay, so this is back end and this is front end. Now these two, front end and back end, will be connected through middle end basically. So middle end nothing but your core language or core programming. So by using this middle end, we can develop the API services or the services which will integrate your front end to back end basically. Like once you, as I mentioned, right, once you click on any request, it will take the service and send to the database. Okay. And now in this middle end only, we have so many options to develop the middle end. There's not only one option, we have so many. Like the very popular one, Java we can use, Python we can use, and we have C Sharp, that is .NET in your regular words, and PHP we have, and Node.js we have. So likewise, we have so many what do you call options for the middle end. So and again, as I mentioned, right, this is programming, right? So on top of it, we have a framework very popular is Spring Boot. And coming to the Python, we have Django, very popular, and also other frameworks, but I'm talking about the main. C Sharp, we have MVC framework, MVC.NET and ASP.NET. And PHP, we have Node, Gent framework or E framework, and also we have CRM tools like WordPress and Drupal. These are all the different frameworks. And Node.js on top of we have used the Express.js. Okay, and yeah, these are all frameworks. So always remember, framework means it is a well-suited application or well-suited libraries which will help you to simplify your coding to build an application basically. So for example, if you want to build an application using core language called Java, it takes 2 months of time. If you use the Spring Boot, the same application you can achieve in the 15 days of time, because the Spring Boot is providing many inbuilt libraries as like same Django or Python. So framework in every area will give you a set of libraries and set of modules to simplify your development work. That is what we technically called. And now if you choose any programming over here, then you will become a midland, I mean the programming developer or software developer or full stack developer along with the front end back end basically. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, service level or API level. Okay, so likewise generally any application, whatever application you nowadays if you see in the market in the web or mobile, it may be Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Flipkart, or Amazon, or any website. Let's talk about the ChatGPT, anything. That all applications will work like this only. Example, if you consider ChatGPT only, you need to give the prompt, right? Prompt means you need to give some query. That is we call front end. Like example, I will open quickly. I will show you to make simple to understand. Let's take, because you may know, right, ChatGPT. Yeah, that's why I'm using the same example. Even Google, okay, ChatGPT example. See, now you are able to see the one first when you click on ChatGPT link. See, you got the some interface, right? Like ask something here, and here new charts, set charts library, like so score is there, right? This is what we call front end UI design. Okay, and when you enter something, let's take let's take example. Yeah, palindrome, sorry, palindrome program in Python example. Okay, this is what we call input for the what you call server. Okay, now when you click on hit, it will send a API in the back end and it will execute that. See, output we are getting, right? This is what we call response. So this is what we are getting the response, and to in between something happened, right? That is what we call middle end will do. And even Google, just plain Google also we take it, just Google. Okay, I'm opening the Google website. Okay, see, this is we call user interface. I mean to say this is you call the front end, and when you entered something, it will process and it will display the links, right? Let's take example Python tutorial. Okay, now when I'm entering, it will show some links, right? So this is what we call output of the this particular web page, means some API is triggered internally. Likewise for every application, let's take example FratelloInnoTech. Okay, let's take, if I'm opening here. Okay, so now also if you see here, yeah, now also if you see here some web page opened. Okay, so this is what we call front end. Similarly here also we have some forms and applications, so based on that we can access that also. Yeah, see that. So this is the website. let's take, if you go for internship here, okay, and you go, and here some matter we are displaying, and if you see here there is a form here. If you fill this form and submit, this data will be stored automatically in the database. So here also we use some service to store in the database. So likewise, this is we call user interface. So for every application, it may be mobile or web application, there is a three areas: front end, back end, middle end. Based on that, we'll work on it. This is altogether development. Okay, after completion of this application, the testing will take place. That is testing team will do. Before this application development, there will be a team called analyst team or business analyst or product owner. That team will work on requirements. That is the two additional teams, like first and last. In between, our designing development will be part of the application, anything. Okay, so this is all about your domain and application knowledge. So anybody have any doubts till that, please ask me. Otherwise, we'll continue the tomorrow remaining Git and GitHub classes. So for today, it will be the project class. Any doubt as of now? If you have any doubt, please feel to ask. Otherwise, we can wind up the class for today. Any doubts? Yeah. So what is static website exactly? See, if any website does not have any interactions, it's only for display the data. Best example I will give you. Okay. Let's take example. Yeah, you can consider this also. Okay. So this is also one way we can call static website only, because here this FratelloInnoTech website is morely talks about one direction. Means this website will show you the different information about the FratelloInnoTech institute. It doesn't have any application advantage. Like example, you cannot process any data, you cannot do some kind of work on the application. This is purely we call static website. Static website means which is mainly display the data to the customers. Even news channels, example, any news channels you can take, like example, way to news, I guess, way to news you can take. Yeah, this one you see, this is a new application. Okay, news website or application. Here you cannot operate anything, you can read the data, you can just use the data. This is, see here, if you go for here, it is a kind of publicity website where he is showing what he is doing a business, but it is not meant for your work. Like example, I cannot do any execution of the program, I cannot do any kind of purchase or anything, I cannot do that. This is a static website, I can say that. Similarly, Fratello. And now if you go for Flipkart, or if you go for Amazon, or if you go for Google, these are we call dynamic websites. Means you can interact with them, you can ask some question to them, they will respond. Chat GPT, these are all dynamic websites. So if you are able to interact with the website, we call this dynamic. If it is not able to interact, we call static website. Any other questions? So static means only content display. Any other questions or any other doubts? Okay, perfect then. So tomorrow we'll meet by same time. Okay. So tomorrow we'll start the Git and GitHub. What is Git and GitHub, and we'll see how to download and install and how to register that. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Thanks all. Bye bye.